Brazil is a very vast. It's kind of we're dealing with 27 different countries because, especially for the VLTs, each state got its own requirements.
What makes Brazil particularly attractive for EGT compared to other emerging regulated markets?
The first thing that you look is just the power of purchase that we do have, and the volume. So when you just put those two together, it's just like a win-win situation. Brazil, again, I think everybody needs to have a little piece there.
But when the industry kind of looks back on this early regulated period, if we can call it that, what do you think will have been the most important factor in determining which suppliers succeed?
Definitely flexibility. Definitely it's just like, for you just to speak the same language. And here I'm not just pretty much saying speaking Portuguese and have a team and have an office in Brazil, but understand the vision and goes together. If you don't have that mindset that you need to have your operator or the customer and the regulator together, I don't think we will succeed.
Hello and welcome to the G3 podcast. Now, Brazil has rapidly become one of the most closely watched markets in global gaming. After what feels like years of anticipation, the country has finally moved into a regulated area for online betting and gaming, opening up the door to one of the largest and most dynamic player bases in the world. Now, for suppliers and operators alike, the opportunity is enormous, but so too is the complexity. Brazil, like many other markets, but particularly Brazil, it isn't a single uniform market. It's a vast country with regional differences in player behavior, infrastructure, and regulatory development that companies need to understand if they want to succeed long term. EGT has been positioning itself early in that journey. It's expanding its iGaming operations, it's tailoring its portfolio for Brazilian players, and it's even producing VLT machines locally as part of its long-term commitment to the market. Today, I'm joined by Celina Guedes, the Managing Director at EGT Brazil, who's here to discuss how the supplier is approaching Brazil's regulated era and why regional strategy matters. Celina, great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to, just to be here. Appreciate. That's a very important moment I believe, for us, and then for all the industry, and then, as you said, all the suppliers and providers and operators, regulators, just paying attention in Brazil. As you said, it's a very diverse country, especially comes from a non-regulated to a regulated. So we face a lot of challenge, and companies like EGT, that we are pretty much pioneers into the market, we face a lot of challenge, and but I think that's this is what we aim for. AGT's got a very vast experience throughout globally. We for the last 10 years we opened pretty much all Latin America countries. We have 35 offices around the world. So I think no better than us than to understand how to enter a novice market and understand it needs, and the flexibility, and then just to understand the market to be able to adapt our products to to better suit our customers. So I believe that we for the past 2 years that the market's being regulated, we've been position ourselves into to the partner. I believe that it's what I say normally, that we come to this to provide products for the entire 360 ecosystem. That's we have products from iGaming. We have our beautiful platform that we call XNAVE. We have games. We have aggregated. We have sportsbook. Then this is of course in the online, but then in the physical side, as you mentioned, we have our VLTs and VLT system and VLT games. And now to top up, we are just pretty much also producing in Brazil our machines. So yeah, we came big and understand working very close with our customers and regulators. So I believe that, we are in a very good position right now.
And from EGT's perspective, how important is Brazil within kind of your global strategy right now? I know your position is MD within EGT Brazil, so that's always going to be your focus. But just generally speaking, compared to other markets where EGT is live, just how central is Brazil within the strategy?
I believe that, I mean, especially from the land base, that would give us a huge advantage in terms of the Mercosur. That's, is like all the South agreement that Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and now we have countries like Colombia, Panama, joined into this trade. And imagine that if we, facing to produce our machines in Brazil, of course, that's going to be the center of the whole Latin America, Central America, and North America. So I think it's a very good strategy. We have our first office in Brazil, in São Paulo. That is not going to be the last one, as you mentioned before. Brazil is a very vast. It's kind of we're dealing with 27 different countries because, especially for the VLTs, each state got its own requirement, and so it's kind of we're doing 27 products to 27 dealing with 27 countries. So and I think that we have the expertise, we have the knowledge, we have the capability, and again, I think we are in the very good time, in the right moment.
And when a market transitions into regulation, as we've seen multiple times over recent years, it creates both opportunity and competition at the same time. So what makes Brazil particularly attractive for EGT compared to other emerging regulated markets? You touched there on kind of other Central American countries and other South American countries, and Latin America as a whole is a region that European suppliers have kind of piled in towards. So why is Brazil the one where EGT is taking particular interest?
I think that, I think the first thing when you just mentioned is about volume. I mean, each business will do, the first thing that you look at is just the power of purchase that, we do have, and the volume. So when you just put those two together, it's just like a win-win situation, the vast Brazil, we can pretty much produce everything. Of course, we're dealing a little bit of a challenge for the importations and how we deal with it. As you probably, that Brazil is a very protective barriers that, is very difficult just to bring outside a product. So, but I think again, it forces us just to, focus and adapt our product to the market. I mean, looking for local partnerships that I believe that is what the government and the economy is for, just to grow the local economy and have products that to acquire the customers. I mean, that we always saying that you have to tropicalize, you have just to understand, and I think that is the way that like forcibly we need to do. And Brazil, again, I think everybody needs to have a little piece there. I mean, it's a great country. It comes with regulation now, especially for the past few days. That's we just have an announcement with the president saying that's just to control the online and. But as I said in the beginning, just to be a pioneer and then just to enter a novice market, that's the challenge that we face. Again, nothing that I don't believe that any other market before, I mean, England, Europe, they have those problems a couple of years ago. And then it becomes stronger as it adapts, and then you just move along the way. And then, as I said, that, with our 24 years experience, I think give us, a background and give us some support just to, let's just face it and we can deal with that.
One of the things, certainly I did when I first started speaking to people in Brazil when the market was emerging and one that was going to become regulated, was I didn't realize, I knew it was a big country, but I didn't realize its scale and its diversity, because it's not just a single market, as I touched on in my introduction. It's a collection of regions with different economic profiles, player habits, infrastructure. And what I've seen in my research is that EGT has been paying particular attention to areas like the Northeast and the Centre West, correct me if I'm wrong, of the country. So what opportunities do you see in those regions specifically? Why kind of start there?
I believe that is the easier way, just of course, everybody wants to be into the larger cities and larger states. That's as such Sao Paulo and Rio, that we are in Rio as well. But the Northeast, as you mentioned, we just opened our first house, in partnership with some operators in Brazil. We are the partners for the technology and the machines. And we did in the state of Paraíba. in the city of João Pessoa. And I think that gives us some opportunity to be like as a lab, to be able just to test our product, just to understand the culture, even though, as you correctly said, that the north of Brazil is completely different from the south and east and center. But then it gives us an enter into the market a little bit, what to understand what the customer wants, the regulators, and even though that is a very small scale, that's what we are aiming for. Our second step now is, of course, just to go through the POC, as I don't know, you probably heard about it. That's like a proof of concept of our products. This is like a homologation type of thing. That's the state of Rio. We approve our product just to be used, and we've been working so hard and so long for the past year and a half to develop a system that they required. So we are looking forward. But as you said, I believe that in those states it gives us an opportunity to actually to make a mistake and to learn and then to correct. So when we come to like the big cities, that's São Paulo, that everybody wants to be. But I believe that once you be in São Paulo, we want to be ready, right? And that we should be, because then we can take more advantage against the others. So I believe that we're doing the right way, and again, working closer with our customers and to the regulator. I think that's the way go forward.
And we'll touch on the VLT machine strategy in a moment, but does that regional approach you've just outlined change the way you think about things like product development and distribution compared to more centralized markets?
Absolutely. I think, to be honest, I think EGT, that's you probably understand, that we have a very good and strong reputations around the world. We have a huge and beautiful factory in Sofia, at our headquarters, and we developed our best machines, slot machine, best technology. We pretty much produce absolutely everything, from the machine to the cables to the armrests to the screen, absolutely everything. And to come to a country that we pretty much need to let me just try to see if that's going to be our new factory, so it is a lot of it's a lot of challenge, it's a lot of thinking. I'm not saying that's going to be the way, but I think definitely made us think differently how we're going to approach this new demand. Definitely we change.
As I just touched on, it is an interesting part of EGT's strategy, that decision to produce VLT machines within Brazil. It's a significant commitment, and it suggests, to me anyway, that the company is thinking long-term about the market. So if you could just tell me a bit more about your thinking behind producing the machines locally rather than relying on kind of purely on imported hardware.
I believe that, surely that it takes a lot of investments, that's not everybody that can just be here, that we're talking about like the big guys, you need to have a big pocket to do this type of exercise, we kind of, it was not our first option, to be honest, William. Of course, because we trust in our products, all our products is already certified. We have all the certifications from games, from small little piece of metal, that then to start all over again, that definitely was not our first approach, but facing the challenge, as I mentioned before about the importation, and then just to come into a country that is still dealing with a gaming terminal, is still like we need just to face that stereotype that slot machine. That then again, I think to start with, I think we need to define and understand and trying to educate not just the customer, but then the entire country. What is the difference between a slot machine and a VLT? The terminal itself, it pretty much the same. You know what I mean? Is a terminal. It is a terminal. What is inside the machine that's going to differ, and then what I think is a challenge for us to take through, and then to making our partners understand, and even the regulators, the Receita Federal, the federal resources, to understand what we are trying to do here. And but yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of time, research. Our team is been, a couple of times in Brazil, um, um, looking for the right place, the right partner. As you probably mentioned, the diversity and everything in a few states of Brazil, they give us some benefits of importation and selling products, and then I believe that that's what we are into. Just to understand that, for example, in Manaus, that's why all the big factories are there. Like all the multinational companies are there just to assembling computers, cell phones, whatever, because Manaus is pretty much 100% tax free, and or in the south of Brazil, like a Florida, Joinville, that is in Santa Catarina, Espírito Santo, there are a few states that provide those type of benefits, and I believe that we are now in the moment, we have a local team of lawyers and our imported people, qualifying people, just to advise us what are the best way to do. But yeah, it is a very expensive exercise, I have to say. If you ask me, I think in the beginning we would definitely choose to import our machines, just because we believe and trust in our products, if you know what I mean. It's like we already understand that machine is 100% qualified, certified. You won't have no problems. The games are certified. So I think we will enter the country a little bit more tranquil. But as I said, I think that we need just to face a few challenges and trying to just to go into the flow, and that's why we are doing currently.
Is it negligible or not to say that local production would help EGT respond faster to the specific needs of, as you said, your partners and regulators in Brazil, or is that not an advantage?
It should be, and it will be eventually. I think we are pretty much, once you have, you are in the right state, as I mentioned, and if you have the right partner, and if you just understand how the importation, maybe you don't produce 100%, like as what we're doing now, we don't produce 100% of Brazil, of course, because our software we bring overseas in other parts. But I think, clever wise, we need just to, think in an efficient way, just to see that, and of course, if you choose that journey, I think, of course, we're going to have just to understand that that's going to be the efficient, faster, and cheaper way, to make the machines in Brazil. It should be. It should be.
Okay. We've spoken there on kind of land-based developments, but Brazil, of course, it's not all the focus, but a lot of the focus is on online gaming and sports betting. And EGT has been expanding its iGaming presence with proprietary games and technology tailored specifically for Brazilian players. So what makes the Brazilian online audience unique compared to other markets where EGT operates?
I believe, again, as I said, it's about the volume. We love betting, and Brazil, it is a country that nature, we bet, we have the love of the sports, and I should not even mention about football. This year is a beautiful year for bettings and for iGaming. That in June we have the World Cup. I would say that is, Brazil grows a lot in terms of, matured a lot in terms of the online. Operators is still a lot of challenge and just to face that majority of the online in Brazil is still illegal. The government is still a little bit into the debate in there in terms of taxations, and that unfortunately, only strength the legal side. I work very close to our customers, and they pretty much are worried. And then, as I mentioned, a couple of days ago, the president commented something about that, that all the funds going to, instead of going to the house, it going to the gaming, to the Tigrinho game. So is worried. It's worried that, it's already a regulated market. And what happens with all those companies and all those families that work in a regulated market, right? Well, how about all of us that invested, just to be present, paying our taxes? And so it was a little bit, unfair, his speech, I believe, as my personal view. But I don't believe that it will drop. I think again we will facing some difficulties in the future, and especially this year. That's a very difficult year because it's a election year. And we all know what happened in election year. Pretty much everything gets stuck. People don't take decisions, and the online in Brazil, I believe that it will grow. Is maturing, as we can see. Uh, all the operators still struggling for understand how the taxations will work, because of course that would change everything. I mean, they, as I said, 2 years ago, they were not regulated. They would spend, amount of money into the markets and marketing affiliators. Now you hardly listen to affiliators anymore. That is, you can see that, and probably that in Europe pretty much that trend, that it was like this and come down and goes again. And I believe we're going to the same direction. I think that it started, it's regulated. That's the main thing. I think we should use the opportunity that while everybody's, talking about the taxation and stuff, we need to adjust our products, and then to be closer to our customers. That's what we do the best, to understand what they need, modified products, work together into promotions, commercials, and deliver good products, and then understand that the customers loved our products, and then that's what we aim for.
That regulation point is an interesting one, because it does feel that since Brazil entered its kind of newly regulated status, the goalposts are constantly being moved when it comes to tax. How much, for a company like yourselves that is already invested significantly in making the Brazilian market a success, how, I don't know, off-putting is it that the president or those in charge of regulations keep suggesting things are going to change and there's going to be greater tax here, we're going to change the regulation here and there? Does that impact your thinking at all going forwards, or have you just gone full throttle? Look, we're going for this market, come what may, it doesn't matter what they do, we're still going to go for it?
I think we have no other choice, William. We are already in, we already invested a tremendous amount of money just to be in. Again, we fighters, and as I said, we have the experience in other markets as well. I mean, for my previous experience, I was an operator before, and we enter markets that over the sudden mature markets that over the sudden the regulators change taxations, and that it changed completely your market strategy, how you face and how you deliver your products. And I think that we need just to adapt and adjust, like stronger and good professionals are able to do that. And I believe that only wiser and prepare companies will survive, because again, it's not for everybody. As I said, it's a very costly exercise. It's not for everybody. I have to say it. It is a little bit disappointing because, I mean, 2 years ago, they regulated, there are taxations into it. We're paying a lot of taxes to it, and then now over a sudden, after not even 2 years, he mentioned things like that. And then you can see that the entire country gets a little bit, you can feel it. I can feel that things a little bit more, nobody integrates, nobody wants to change. Let's see what's happened. Everybody's like waiting. And then of course it's impacting into our products and to our business, but I believe that we have the capacity and the knowledge to understand that it will pass, and we just need to, focus on doing what we are good at, and not, let's see, not to just worry too much about it. It doesn't worth to be negative, right?
No, exactly that. And to round us out, let's just zoom out a little if we can, and just look at kind of the big picture with regards to where Brazil is in terms of its regulated journey. The market will, as all markets do, inevitably evolve over the next few years as operators, regulators, and suppliers like yourselves find their rhythm. So from your perspective, crystal ball out time, what does the Brazilian gaming landscape look like in 5 years?
Oof.
It's a biggie.
Land-based, online, or both?
Both.
I'd see that the states with all of these, they are they are working very fast into regulated the gaming laws. And I think with all that gives us a little bit opportunity for the state to work independently, because the federal allowed the states to kind of do and their own way of with the video lotteries, with the VLTs. So I believe that will grow a lot, and then eventually in 5 years time, I believe most probably of the the largest states in Brazil would have VLTs. That's for sure. They would have like products that not just like high end products, like put that way, like in terms of a proper VLT machines and a premier product, but then totems and products that we could see in the currently right now you can see in bars and into areas much more lower incomes, but then I think that's the idea is just to to deliver entertainment for those ones that won't be able to afford to come all the way to a house and play those machines. So I see in 5 years pretty much that scenario. I mean, the iGaming, I feel that it will adjust. They would see that they will understand that is a very good income to the country, and they will definitely adapt. Unfortunately, I don't know by them if a lot of the locals will have the patience and the pocket enough to sustain all of it, So you end up like pretty much you see all over the world the big five global, provide operators, and you see, I think that it would give opportunity to even the locals just to think differently. I think that with the federal the state license would give them more freedom just to do what they are willing to do, and in them I think they'll be able just to reach those entrepreneurs or those investors that want to do something into the iGaming or into the gaming industry in Brazil, not just iGaming but the gaming industries in Brazil.
And a final one for me that came to mind as you were talking was that when the industry kind of looks back on this early regulated period, if we can call it that, what do you think will have been the most important factor in determining which suppliers succeed?
Definitely flexibility. Definitely it's just like, for you just to speak the same language. And here I'm not just pretty much saying speaking Portuguese and have a team and have an office in Brazil, but understand the vision and goes together, that we are already doing that. Imagine in 5 years time and we take the customer to one side, the regulator to the other side, and say, okay, let's do this together. I mean, I think EGT entered like, 2 years ago with this focus, just to be, we do things together. And I believe that's the only way. That will be the only way forward. I don't think if you don't have that mindset that you need to have your operator or the customer and the regulator together, we part of it. I don't think we will succeed.
For companies like EGT, this is kind of my takeaway as we round out. For companies like EGT, success will likely come down to understanding the country, not just as a single opportunity, as we've discussed, but as a complex and evolving kind of ecosystem of regions, players, and technologies. So, Celina, it's been great hearing how EGT is approaching that Brazilian journey. Thank you very much for coming on, and I hope to speak to you soon.
You're welcome. I appreciate it, and I believe that channels like this and opportunities like this to talk more about it, the market, it helps. Those views out there, rather being, investors, operators, regulated, that it helps. That I believe that what's the main important thing now in Brazil is just to, send through the right information. Unfortunately, there are a lot of, people with power that is still lacking of, good information. And, but we get there. We get there. I believe that, again, channels like these, and then me being a Brazilian, I have like the responsibility just to, just to take this across and then seriously. And then, important just to have a company like EGT behind me, just to, just to trust and then, take a little bit, baby steps, but always forward. I think we should be baby steps, but always forward. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Celina.
You're welcome. Take care.